Today's video, we're going to talk about integrated media planning, how to use it to make big money in your business. In short, integrated media planning, this is basically understanding who your customers are. Go audit your sales team and ask them what are the five most common customers you have and why they're specifically buying your product or service. And don't tell me they're buying a donut because it tastes good, okay? Or they like donuts, even worse. They're buying donuts because, essentially they buy it because they woke up too late for breakfast, so they stopped for a donut. They're buying donuts because essentially when they're out of bacon, they buy a donut because they didn't really have any bacon. So there's different individual reasons why someone buys that donut that you can identify and discover by simply looking into the customers you already have dealing with your business right now. Okay, when you're starting out, you just blast your ads out everywhere and you start selling to anybody and everybody who wants a donut. Eventually, you should be able to get smarter though and drill into why people are buying donuts and then taking your ads, cutting out all the crap and just getting to the most profitable customers ultimately out there. Because you'll end up making a much greater ROI. You have to work way less hard to get the same amount of profit in your business at the end of the day because you're getting not only just in front of the people who buy and spend a lot more money, but you can actually start talking in their language. You missed breakfast this morning? Donuts. You got the answer. That's also a major reason why you do it. But more so, it's about making an ad campaign that's not so successful pay off at a lot better and higher rate, given that a lot of people who think they're interested in your product or service aren't, at the end of the day, once you pay to get them acquainted with it or generate a lead and try to sell it to them, aren't really the buyers at the end of the day. If you're ever going to get really good at advertising, you have to understand your customers on an individual use case level. So I'm going to talk about that precisely in today's video in terms of we did this for several different companies as an example so you can learn how this is done. And if you stay to the end of the video, I will explain how much money we made in these individual use cases so you can see how much you can make doing this same kind of thing for yourself after you see the examples of how it's actually done. I'm Corey Ziman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing results for our clients, that is, get to a minimum level of profitability increase with their businesses before we charge management fees. We're the only agency on the planet who offers any kind of similar guarantee, which should tell you something about the quality of the information that I'm presenting to you on this particular channel. So with that said, getting into the content here. Now, right away, just to get out of the way right up front, this particular strategy of integrated media planning is going to work whether you're doing B2B or selling to businesses, whether you're selling to individual consumers, that is non-businesses, whether you're doing services, or whether you're selling products. It covers the entire spectrum of what you could possibly be doing out there. If you're trying to sell to people that want cheap, or mostly want cheap, whether you're trying to sell to people who want expensive and struggling still, this is going to be able to tell you how to get more out of your ad budget by focusing on what actually works the most, by marketing to people on an individual user level and demographic, psychographic level, and so forth, if you know anything about that. With that said, getting into the best way to explain how this is actually done is just explaining how we did it for different types of companies. Through that, you'll pick up how you're going to actually be able to do this for yourself as well and make more money out of the advertising budget that you have now, and so you can scale your company quicker than what you would otherwise. So with that said, I want to start with the B2B related case study. We sold this is also a service. The first example I wanted to give you was of what we do with our own agency here. Okay, which if you run an agency, this is going to be very relevant to you, obviously. But I also just wanted to talk about our own agency because I want to show you that, and we eat our own dog food. This is something we do for our own agency because it is the only way we can make good money, if you will. There's a person who buys PPC services, advertising agency services, and there's a person who does not. And there's a person who buys it at a high cost or a high price versus a low price. There's people out there that offer agency services for $500 a month. They're out there. There's people out there that charge $10,000 a month. And there's everything kind of in between. Our agency fees are in the thousands a month. It's not on that high end that I talked about, but it's also not $500 a month either. And to be frank, if you haven't heard any of my other videos and or rants before, you know you damn well shouldn't be paying $500 a month for PPC services if you expect to get any kind of scalable results for your company, because ultimately they're going to be working on your stuff like an hour a month, and that's not how you get results with ads. And if all you have is $500 a month to spend, you damn well get on this channel and you start learning and get yourself scaled to where you're doing at least $500,000 a year in sales revenue. And then you kick it off. You get somebody else that you can afford to pay thousands a month to take it over from there, like everybody else has to. So our own agency, we know our buyer is the quote unquote luxury buyer, somebody with the top 10% in income demographic. We don't service clients who are struggling business owners who can't find a proof of concept in their business, a model of selling what they're selling and a customer base for it. Once somebody already knows they have a customer base, what they do, what will work, they've gotten a little bit of traction with it, we take it from them, that is their ads, and we go to the stratosphere with it. And we got somebody who understands that you can't get the thing done for $500 a month the way that you're supposed to. And generally speaking, by the way, that's somebody who's hired somebody, failed, hired somebody else, cheap again, failed, hired somebody else, cheap again, failed, hired somebody else, cheap again, failed. And then they were like, okay, I'm not giving up. I think maybe the problem is we're hiring people for $500 a month. And then they finally admit to themselves that the marketing people aren't cheap. If they actually know what the hell they're talking about at all, which is the reality and which is the truth. A lot of people don't want to admit marketing people get paid. The ones that really know what they're doing are getting paid as much as a high-end lawyer or more. Realistically, it's more, because you can learn from a book how to do legal work. You cannot learn from a book how to be an expert marketer. It's as much as an art. It's like, or you can hire a top artist who actually knows what they're doing, and there's no book to learn it from. You got to have talent for it. Raw talent. With that said, otherwise, they could just go start a business doing what you're doing, outsource everything else to you, and keep all the money for themselves. I mean, you don't think these people that are excellent marketers have ever thought about starting a plumbing site and then subbing out all the work and just answering the phone themselves / pay someone to answer the phone, then do a deal with a local plumber? And because they're so good at marketing, they can't just run that business themselves and keep all the money for themselves. Think about this. If you're looking for somebody who undervalues themselves as your business model, even if you find that person, they're not going to stay around for long. And the reality is it's going to be 1 in 100. So you don't want to be predicating your business on finding the 1 in 100 anyway. It's a certain type of person who values the service because they know how hard marketing is, and they have actually the money to spend. That is, they're over a certain minimum amount of yearly revenue. What they're paying us isn't like more than 10% of their revenue or something like that. You advertise, okay, knowing that. Advertising on Google is not the way to go. Why? Because somebody who goes to Google hasn't hired 5 companies before and failed. If they have, they wouldn't be going to no damn Google and typing in PPC service companies and hiring somebody there, because that's not where the good people exist, and they know it. And what do? They know they have to get a referral, and if they didn't get a referral, they have to go elsewhere to where real subject matter experts exist. And I'll get more to that in a minute. Direct mail. Okay, so this is one way that we used integrated media planning to find our client that I just described to you. There, the persona, if you will. What we did is find all the companies running a lot of ad spend. Go out there, find the name of the decision maker at the company. Find out their email address, phone number, address. And then we just blast them from all fronts. Send them letters in the mail, emails. We take their email address, upload it to AdRoll, and then run a banner ad at them. Then we call them up and do a voicemail message on their voicemail if they don't answer. Which, by the way, you could send a voicemail after hours so you don't have to talk to them on the phone in that situation. If this were you, you can leave them a voicemail, leave it on their voicemail. But the idea is there's technically a term of what this is called Omni-Channel marketing. You're hitting intended audience on a bunch of different channels because they've seen you in multiple places. Each individual place they've seen you, more than just the sum. So it's not 1 + 1 + 1 = 4. It's 1 + 1 + 1 = 10. The more places they've seen you, more likely they are going to be to convert. It compounds. It's a psychological hack. Back in the day, in order to trust things, people would trust things that they heard other people say before multiple times. oh, I've heard this before, therefore what you're telling me here, I take it more seriously than if I didn't hear of it before. So that's what you're doing. So anyway, we reach out to people who we already know fit the mold. So that's one way to do it. We also understand that somebody that is fed up, they already been through the ringer. They know they don't want no idiots working for them anymore. They're going to go out and find the people that teach other people on how this is done and have been vetted by other peers. One of the ways that we do that, or did that, I should say, not so much anymore because we have this channel now, but in addition to other things, we reach out to Search Engine Journal, okay? Get on one of their webinars where they have a curated following that periodically through their email list, they send out a notification that they're going to do I'm on the webinar. These people that are actually out there trying to find out where the experts are teaching at and learning from, they do it in the main publication. Journal, Search Engine Land, there's 3 or 4 main websites that people learn about how to do pay-per-click anymore, okay? So we go out to those places and we get the platform to let us go on their platform. So because we're already kind of like vetted by the platform, people are going to assume we're vetted, if that makes sense. In the situation where so we know because they're looking for experts there on a webinar, we know they probably already hired several people before and failed. Therefore, we got the type of person that we know actually buys from us, not only just buys from us, but stays around, doesn't stay for 3 or 4 months and then quit and hire someone cheaper, because if they've never hired somebody before, guess what the heck do? They say, oh, I'm tired of paying him so much. Let's go find somebody on Fiverr for $30 a month to maintain it. And then they're going to go screw it all up and they're going to be back to square one again. And I'm not just saying that because this benefits me or our firm. This is legitimately how it's done. I don't know why people do this, but they do it and they do it and they do it. The only way you don't do it is if you realize how rare it is to find somebody who knows what they're doing. Otherwise, that's what I guess everybody just where they mentally go. Mainly because I think we make it look easy. They just think, oh, anybody can do this. You made it look, so easy. Anybody can do this. And I'm a genius. We need somebody that's going to Search Engine Journal to review a webinar because they're not going to be thinking it's so simple. So that's one way this type of integrated media planning is done. We also targeted content using YouTube ads. I've got this platform, but what we also do is there's not many, but a couple YouTube channels that have okay information that are by real people that aren't just pretending that they run lots of ads. And in that case, I know that person knows something. They're not totally clueless. They realize they have to learn something about PPC to the people who don't know anything. And then we would run our video ads on those channels. So if they're watching their channels, our ad will be there. So if they don't find us directly through our channel, to find me through my channel, I'm on their channel. So I'm covered. I got all the bases covered. And that's another way we find the person who has been through the ringer and is now a serious buyer. You can either like I talk about on this channel many times, you can watch this channel and figure it all out for yourself. You don't need to hire somebody. But if you're rich, the last thing you damn well need to be doing is spending 1,000,000 hours trying to figure out how to run PPC ads for your business. You can't do that in every other area of your business. Even though if you're going to spend that time, by the way, spending it figuring out how to do marketing is your best bet out of everything else because it's so hard to outsource. But if you got money, your best bet is just go hiring the top person. That's actually the differentiator of what, the people that make money and don't make money in your business, mostly what the differentiator is, because most people's tendency is, oh, I'm the business owner. I can't who the hell do these marketing people think they are? You think they're the God's gift to man. And then if you have that mindset, you're going to get people who don't know what they're doing and you're never going to get anywhere. The person who really knows marketing and can make you money in a hyper competitive or just a decently competitive market needs to make as much as you are making as the owner, or you're not going to get qualified people because it's too easy to start a business and not take your crappy little pay, go to where the money is, which is to run ads for their own little business and then outsource all the work or the product delivery using an Amazon FBA or something else and make more money from their time and value what they're doing at a lot higher level as a result. So with that said, that's a perfect example of integrated media planning, identifying who the true buyer is, okay? Basically understanding that you got to go find the places to advertise where they actually exist. As a side random example, If you're in the dating space, okay, and you're doing mail order bride businesses, I've heard in that space, I wasn't in this space myself, but through my research, they found that the top customer there is somebody who's been divorced 3 times. Similar to like what I was saying about our own business, somebody who's gotten screwed multiple times, at least 3 times before. They would go after that person. It was a slam dunk because that person knew that they had to pay some decent money to get it handled for themselves. You got to be able to do that kind of study for yourself to find out if your salespeople don't have it, you figure it out one way or another. And which, by the way, one perfect example or one very good way I should say that you do this to learn more about your customer base, to refine where your ads are showing up so you get into where they actually are at, to get customers who buy at a higher rate but are worth more to your business. They stay longer, a factor that many people don't consider nearly enough because they just want to go to where the cheapest customer is, and that's never the best quality customer. It can't be. Just by chance it can't be. But you take your customer list, your email addresses or phone numbers, you give it to Axicom, and they will do data expansion where through that email list, they'll compare it to the data that they have, and they'll tell you of the 40,000 individual unique traits that they track, divorce, not divorce, whatever. They'll tell you which ones of them line up for each customer, and then you can correlate all that data and find out the most common traits that make your customers unique, whether they like magic shows, whether they like eating at McDonald's, and then you can start to advertise. If you find out like 90% of the people of who you deal with now that are worth a lot eat at McDonald's, then your obvious thing you should be thinking of doing right away is let's advertise on a website all about eating at McDonald's, like a McDonald's fan club. That should be your default thinking, even though that would be like a kind of a weird example that wouldn't necessarily work. But you get the general idea of what I'm trying to mention here. You do the research to figure out how to narrow your ads down, what places or who you need to get, and then you go find places that have exclusively those people. To give you another example, in terms of to sell a product instead of a service here, and to the end consumers, not businesses, we sold a product for wakeboarding for people who want a USA made product, which, by the way, if you want to get into developing products, which we'll just say is not the easiest, but if you want to do that, the best way you can do that is just go find a market where no USA made product exists, make one, sell it for, let's say 20, 30% more than what the average product in the market's worth. And that's a business model that can be replicated across thousands of different verticals. We've done this multiple times in the businesses that I've invested in myself, that I'm part owners in. We've got businesses, by the way, where I'll come in and say, I'll lift your revenue. I want 4% of your sales revenue lift that we bring you, but our investment is XYZ. We'll give you some cash up front. The marketing services we charge for, we'll give you a break on it. And then, so now we're effectively partners in the business. I like to invest in companies where it's a USA made product because people are so tired of Chinese products that just by being the one guy who has it, it's the only differentiator you need in that market to succeed. And every company we've invested in like that, we're scaling like hell. And when I say like hell, double every year. So with that said, that was you're selling a USA made product like we have with the wakeboarding gear company. We obviously had people buying on Google, okay? Shopping ads, generally speaking, the picture ads with the price underneath it on Google, in other words, if you don't know what it is, the reason why those work so good is because you can see the price on the product before you click on the ad, okay? It'll get people to self-select what end of the market they want to be at. Do they want to buy a cheap product, middle price product, expensive product? So we did that. We also ran some search ads, but ran that. Then, though, because we have a premium product and most of the products on the markets are cheap products, and most people still don't want an expensive product that's quality, which is why all the Chinese exist in the first place. But 70% of the market wants a cheap piece of garbage because they haven't learned the hard lesson that stuff doesn't last yet, but 30% do. But 30% that we do want of the market we do want to sell to that wants a high quality product, we get most of that chunk of the market because if we have a USA made product, we then advertise on YouTube on these competitors, or at least middle price to high end, on their channels, or a video ad will pop up there, specifically on their channels, but also if they've been to their website before. Through custom intent audiences, you can do that. The reason why we do that is because we don't care about to sell to a person who wants a cheap product. They're not ready to buy our product where the customer is. We also run demand gen campaigns, which gets your ads on YouTube and Gmail, and to the same people. People that have recently been to our competitor's website that are mid-price to high-end. Then we also do the same thing on the display campaigns. Somebody who's been to our competitor's site, we show up on those sites. Also, the few web pages on the internet about that particular product as well that talk about that particular competitor's product. If there is a web page that reviews that product that's in the middle to the high end. So by doing this, we know where our part of the market is that we want, which is the 30%, like I talked about before. And we do everything we can to get in front of the 30%, regardless of where they're at online, to make sure that they cannot miss us. And we do the same thing on Amazon. Instead of just advertising all over hell on Amazon for these people looking for the product category we sell, we just get in front of the people that are searching for our mid to high end price competitor products as well. So, and this can go in reverse, by the way. If we sold a cheap as hell product, like we're the cheapest one, then you wouldn't want to market to anybody who's in the middle to high end. You would just want to market to people who are searching for the competitors that are also cheap, saying, you like cheap? We're the cheapest, or whatever, there, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's another great example of by price and where you're situated in the market, how you can make your ads way more efficient. And so where people try to go after everybody, you got to know where you fit in. You sell cheap, you go to the cheap customers who like cheap. If you're not, you don't go after them. It's pretty simple. A lot of people just don't get this main concept. Going into services here again, we had a psychiatry service that had a very specific type of clientele that they wanted. Okay, we're talking people who want professionals, doctors, lawyers, and the like, because they're easier to deal with and they can follow processes and so forth. Now, going after people on Google by itself is kind of hard and more so limiting because there's only so many people there searching to begin with, and there's only so many professionals out there searching for psychiatry services. So what did we do to go past that? Well, what we ended up doing in this particular case for this market is we understood, first of all, we knew that we want to go after professionals because after interviewing the client and working with them, asking who's the ideal client that you want, because you can only, handle so much work, it's professionals. Okay, we can go after Google, we can narrow it down by income level and age, because a professional generally is over a certain age, not over and under a certain age. They're usually male versus female, get all that. And then obviously on the landing page saying this is the perfect service for professionals. So people would feel like, oh, they're right at home when they get to our landing page and be more likely to convert if they're a professional. With the people who weren't professional not converting. It throws away some of the traffic, but the people who do fit the mold, they convert at triple the rate because it says the service for professionals. But beyond that, to scale further, because if you just settle for search ads by itself, you're only going to make so much money and that's it. And that may be good enough for you, but if you want to make millions and millions more, you got to figure out how to get display ads working for your business. In this case, we just went after any forums where there was professional support groups, people looking for tips from other accountants on how to be a better accountant on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on web forums. Same thing for lawyers. Same thing for architects. The key thing here is we could actually make the service seem catered to the actual professional type. Eventually convinced the client to do this. That is, we could have an ad that runs in the accountancy groups that says the accountancy psychiatrist service. So it looks just customized for accountants and it worked like hell. Okay, super high click-through rates. We would work with the forum owners because you can't advertise to a Facebook group, but you can get a hold of the group owner, for lack of better words, bribe them, say, hey, let us share this sales video in the group. Otherwise, they're just going to delete it, self-promotional. We know that if somebody watches the video for at least 4 seconds, we can build that into a remarketing audience and then hit them with remarketing ads forever after, basically. We can also endorse it. The group says this is the official, psychiatry service of the group, which is a part of the deal that we would make. And you can run banner ads on web forums, and then also on Reddit. Technically, we could run some ads there, which it wasn't the best, but anyway, you get the general idea. We understood where our customers were at that we're going to make the most money from, and then we started going after them individually in the places that they hibernate. That's a perfect example of how you use integrated media planning to make more money than you're making now for the same exact ad money that you have, Specifically in this case by, like I talked about at the start of this video, instead of just saying, we have a great mattress, we have a back mattress that works great for bad backs, we have a mattress that works great for helping you stay cool, and then marketing the Stay Cool mattress to the person who is looking for a mattress because they want to be cooler at night. And that gets you a super high response rate once you niche down like that on individual customer use cases when you get it in front of the actual right person. And you can get it in front of the right person by just understanding that there's certain groups or certain websites that have those people by themselves on it. With that said, if you want to construct a campaign like this, you can always leave me a comment in the comment section. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. But also you can reach out to me at my agency at Guaranteed PPC, of course. GuaranteedPPC.com is where you can find me specifically with that. But with that, not only would I be able to tell you how to do this for your own business, but we can guarantee a certain result for you. That is, if you don't get a certain minimum of profitability from your campaign, we won't take our management fee. And until we do, there is no management fee. We're not cheap, but we're basically the best one you're going to find that actually cares about getting the right results. No other agency offers any kind of guarantees, which should tell you something about the service, but we can get you great results. If we say we're going to agree to work together, if we can't get results, we'll just tell you up front, hey, what you're doing doesn't make any sense. So it's a win-win in that regard. Reach out to me if you're interested in having a conversation about potentially working together. Also, we've got templates. If we've already worked in your niche market before, we can sell you the winning ad templates, landing page templates, campaign templates that work for your niche market that you just literally copy paste into your account. We can tell you the results you're going to get with it up front. And chances are we've worked in your niche market before and have those templates because we've worked in over 100 niche markets in the last 10 plus years. At the very least, you should reach out to us and find out what results we've got in your market because the chances are high we've worked in your market and you'd be saving yourself a ton of time and a ton of money just getting the template from us to sell it. As long as you're in a different city or country than our client, it's all fair game to use it. You save yourself tons of resources that you would have normally spent. Eventually figure out how to do it like we did it, that we've already figured out because we've done it over years in that niche market already. If you're interested in that, you can also reach out to me at GuaranteedPPC.com. We've got people using these templates to start whole other businesses up totally from scratch when they knew very little about the business, whether they're selling printer toner because they wanted to start an e-com business and didn't know anything about it, or whether they wanted to sell leads, plumbing leads to people that are in the plumbing space, or answered the phone, pretended like they were a plumber, then outsourced the plumbing work to another guy and have a plumbing business in a box as a result just of having this campaign that works so efficiently up front. Anyway, if you're interested in any of those templates, let me know as well. I'll tell you what we have, what results we got in your space or in a space that you're interested in. As the final kind of example here I wanted to go over in terms of integrated media planning is in a space that was called the viaticals. Okay, I've talked about this in a couple other videos before, but viaticals, so if you have a life insurance policy, you have a cash value policy, you can sell your life insurance policy itself, okay, for the cash value. With that said, there are life insurance policies that are, your life insurance policy has value when you die, okay? You can't get the money out of your life insurance until you die. Let's say you needed that money today because you knew you were going to die. You needed it for like medical treatment. You could sell your life insurance policy to somebody that will then get the cash value of it after you die, but give you the value now because they know pretty well you actually are going to die in the near future for like cancer, people that need money for cancer treatment and so forth. So with that said, after asking this client a bunch of questions about what percentage of the public have life insurance policies, what percentage of the customer base buys because of this reason versus that reason, and what are the main reasons why they would sell their policy, and of the people who are able to sell their policy that are actually eligible to sell it, because you can't sell it if you're not qualified. That is, it's not too likely you're going to die. Because if you don't die, the person buying it ain't going to get the money out of the policy to get paid back. They said by far it's people like with cancer treatment that need money for cancer treatment. And not only that, but people that were at stage 3 or higher, which is somebody who's already had the cancer basically spreading to their lymph nodes and like that, which basically indicate you're fucked, by the way. Unless you know about alternate cures and whatnot. So with that said, that was the golden nugget that I needed to dig for. At that point in time, yes, we run our ads on Google search for people typing in viatical companies, all that. so that the bottom of your sales funnel is efficient. So if you go and you advertise to somebody and you get them close to a purchase, and then they needed to wait a couple days to decide to go and pull the trigger, and then they go to Google and search for you and you're not there, your funnel's inefficient. But from there, once you got that base laid out, like I talk about in other videos, then you go after people that are just entering the market and you get them before other people can. Given what the information I already shared with you about who buys, who's like a slam freaking dunk customer, like the 3 times divorced person who needs to buy a wife from another country, essentially, through the mail order bride business. Cancer patients with 3A cancer or more. But the key thing is, because 30% of people roughly have a life insurance policy, we can just get in front of any person with 3A cancer or 4A cancer and just tell them, hey, do you want free money? Reach out to us. Why? Because once we get them on the phone, we can convince at least 10% of them to sell us their life insurance policy, and we know that they'll be eligible for it. So in other words, where can we advertise where somebody has 3A or 4A cancer, and then go there with a similar approach? Cancer groups out there where you can do that on Facebook, also there's forums for that as well. So we run our ad, need money for your 3A cancer treatment with the exact person that we need to respond. Drive them to a landing page, get the lead, have a person tell them about how bioticals work, boom, and a certain percentage sell us their policy. So that's a perfect example of how integrated media planning and thinking outside the box, which is what this is, can make you way more money in your business. We're talking 10, 20, 50 times more money than you're making through search ads by just understanding who your customer is and running targeted ads to the person to explain that you have a great solution for them without even bringing the product or service into question even. That is, you can have something that says miracle home run device. This device is helping baseball players hit 5,000 times more homers than they ever did before. Driving that person to a landing page, getting them to fill out an e-form, and then calling them up and be like, hey, you know what? This is the new technology that does it. And then just having a salesperson close them on the phone, which we do this stuff all the time with different ebooks, getting people to download what they call a blind ad. Specifically how you do it. You just find out why people are buying, and then you go to where they're at, and then you speak directly to them in their language. And that's how it's basically done in integrated media planning. If you want to know the tips on how to set up a blind ad like that and so forth, you should subscribe to this channel, because I promise you, you're not going to find better information on this exact topic, as well as making money with ads anywhere else online, and certainly on YouTube, because I spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy at our firm with dozens of accounts that I'm personally tweaking and strategizing on, and I've been doing it for over 10 years now. I have all the experience, and everything I find what works as well as doesn't work, I give for you for free on this channel. It doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that 99% of the information you're going to find online about how to make millions of dollars running ads for your business is given to you by people who don't actually do it at all. And they're just pulling the information straight out of their ass. You don't know any better because you aren't an ad expert, and that's what they're banking on. If you're serious about making money with ads, this is the channel you want to pay attention to at the very least first. And then along with that, if you like the channel and see value in it already, you should check out my blog as well. My blog, you can find that at guaranteedppc.com/blog. Blog has actual step-by-step information and strategies, how you can copy the strategies we're using to guarantee results for our clients with screenshots, with everything you need to use those as well. So if you like the channel, you should check that blog out as well. But with that said, I explain how this integrated media planning stuff works with multiple examples. If you want to know, as I mentioned, if you stay to the end of the video, we talk about how much this stuff actually makes, okay? In terms of our own agency, I don't really want to share all the details on that exactly, but I could talk about our client stuff because, I didn't give a specific client name here. On the Viaticals one specifically, to give you an idea on this, we were paying $100 to $200 a lead on Google search, more so like closer to 100 in reality on Google search. However, cost per lead when we were advertising on the cancer forums, we are getting leads for $20, $30 a piece, so way less. Advertising in places traditionally people wouldn't think aren't very profitable, that is banner ads. People don't think banner ads typically work because they don't know how to use them. They don't know that you got to have a really, really good offer on a banner ad in order to get someone to legitimately click through. You can't just be like Viatical services. That's not going to be good enough. You can't just say baseball bats for sale. Nobody gives a damn. And then the closing rate on the leads is similar to what we're getting off of Google search. Why is that? This is a key thing to keep in mind. When you're on Google search, you're one of 5,000 companies there that you could go with. Whereas if you clicked on our banner ad and responded, yeah, you could eventually later on go and talk to other viatical companies, go to Google, search, get a bunch of quotes, but a lot of them won't. In fact, half or more of them won't. So our closing rate on the leads we do get is good as long as we can figure out how to get the ad in front of somebody who's qualified as a buyer. The increase in closing rate we're going to get, the good closing rate we're going to get is going to make the ads just as profitable as the search ads, if not better. And with way more volume potential. We're talking closing 10% of the leads on Google search and the same closing rate on those banner ads that we had. Why? Because we're on very specific niche forums that have late stage cancer victims there, of which we know at least a third of them probably have a policy. That gives you a pretty good example of how profitable this can. This can completely change your business once you realize who your customers truly are. Get rid of all the ads that you're running to get in front of people who are not really that enthusiastic about your product or service, and get to the meat and the heart of what you're doing, where you should actually be advertising your business at the end of the day. The psych therapy one, cost per lead on Google, it's about $75 a lead. Advertising on these forums here, get this, we're at like $15 a lead. Granted, we had to pay some good money. If you're not counting the cost of like the ongoing, because we had to agree to partner with these group forum owners in order to be able to use their credentials or like their endorsement, so to say. But if you're looking at the actual amount of what we're paying overall, the initial engagement on the first time that we ran the ads, we had to do a long-term commitment with that person in order to maintain, just for them to agree to endorse what we were doing. Plus the remarketing ads where we could, like I mentioned, if you have a video ad on a group, on a Facebook group in particular, where most of our leads came from, you can actually remarket to people while they're just on Facebook anywhere after that. When you added it all up and you average it out, we're looking at $20 a lead just from that. Whereas, so again, like the viatical situation, cost per lead's cheaper than search ads. You just got to understand how to find out where your exact customer is. But the fact that the ad is super drilled into who it is in that forum, and you say you specialize, even though you don't really specialize in that exact, professional type like we did here, it sounds good and it gets people way more likely to respond. If we were to just say we're a psychiatry service for professionals, the click-through rate's going to be 20% of what it's going to be saying we're an accounting specialist. It makes all the difference. And for that matter, if you've done work with more than one accountant before, there's no reason why you can't say you specialize in it. So you're just self-limiting yourself if you don't. So with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.
Remember when I said banner ads was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.